Hey guys, and welcome back to another Outriders video. In this video we're gonna go over every single monster hunt encounter, try to compare the world to experience you get and the time it takes possibly to kill them. Now, because it varies from person to person, of course, hence we try to. And maybe we can identify which of the monster hunts might be the best for you to grind your world tier. First, a disclaimer. As I went through all the monster hunter encounters for this video, there were 2 encounters I had some difficulties and I died a few times. So you will probably see my main world tier experience bar be less than it was when I started. However, all we care about is the actual segments of experience we get for each successful encounter. When it comes to measuring the time it takes for each encounter, I'm only measuring from when you get into the area to the completion of the actual combat. And again, time varies for everybody differently. A lot of these monsters you might find you fight much quicker than myself, and others it might take you longer than myself, so you're gonna have to take the times with a grain of salt. I can only measure them against my own performance, of course, but this still should give you a rough idea what you can expect. Now let's start with Cold Claw. Cold Claw can be found in Eagle Peaks near the antenna cable car station's fast travel point. From the time I entered the arena to a full completion, it took me 3 minutes and 17 seconds. You should see the world tier experience gained on screen now. Next, we're off to the wreckage zone for the Oryard Queen, which is found near the Crevices fast travel point. From the time I entered the arena to full completion, it took me approximately 2 minutes and 15 seconds. Next, we're off to the quarry for Big Jaw, who we can find near the Outpost Gates fast travel point. Big Jaw took me 2 minutes and 25 seconds from the time I entered the arena to full completion. Next, we're off to the Forest Enclave to fight Split Tooth. Split Tooth can be found near the Collapsed Arch Pass fast travel point. Split Tooth took 1 minute and 20 seconds to complete from the time we entered the arena to full completion. Next up is Moldfang in the Stronghold Zone, who can be found near the Whitewater Reservoir fast travel point. Moldfang was the first encounter we had that went over multiple arenas, where we had to load from the first arena into a second arena to kill the final boss. Altogether, it took me approximately 4 minutes and 35 seconds, and we got 2 sets of experience, which I'm gonna show you on screen now. Next up is the Ancient Ruins, where we're gonna have an encounter with Spine Wretch. Spine Wretch can be found near the Distorted Sculpture fast travel point. Now, Spine Wretch took a total of 1 minute and 15 seconds from the time we entered the arena to completion. Now we're off to Monster Hunt number 7 at the gate to hunt down the Wendigo. The quest to start the Wendigo monster hunt is actually right in our camp. The total time it took us from the moment we entered the arena up to completion was 2 minutes and 25 seconds approximately, and you should see the world tier experience on screen now. Now, with 3 hunts left, we're gonna make our way to the dunes, where we're gonna try to hunt down Horus. The closest fast travel point is actually your camp. You just have to leave your camp by going up the little hill into the desert, and at the top you turn right, and the carcass to start the quest should be right there. Now, this monster hunt is a 2-phase monster hunt as well. The first arena you get into, you have a couple of maulers, you have 2 or 3 winged mobs as well, flyers, which were quite tough for me to deal with. But then you get to the end of that arena and you have to enter Horus's Nest. Horus's Nest was for me quite difficult. It actually took me about 6 or 7 attempts before I stopped dying at it. So I would definitely recommend any monster hunt you have issues with, just change your world tier to 1 below. And that way you don't lose experience, but you still have it tough enough that you have to work to find a strategy. And once you have a strategy that works, go back the 1 tier higher to the max tier that you're at, and then you hopefully will beat it without losing any experience. In the end, I was able to complete this monster hunt from the time I entered the first arena all the way down to the final boss Horus and all his mobs in 4 minutes and 35 seconds. So you should see the combined experience now on the screen. With 2 more monster hunts left, we're next over to Desolate Fort to hunt down Sunshifter. The closest fast travel point will be your camp. You're just gonna have to leave your camp over the dune and then just head straight up with the mountain range on your left hand side until you get to this tank that you use to blow the gate apart, and on the left hand side of the tank you will see the carcass for the monster hunt. The Sandshifter encounter is also a 2 arena phased combat encounter, so you're gonna have to clear an area first and then you're gonna have to destroy a blockade like this blue icon you see to get into the next area. In total, to complete both areas from the time I got into the first area to full completion, it took me 4 minutes and 35 seconds. And now to hunt down the final beastie called Typhon, which is located in the canyon of the Grand Obelisk. The closest fast travel point to Typhon is the wrecked APC. From the fast travel point, you're just going to turn left, follow the semicircle around with the first exit on your left, then you follow the wall along up the stairs, and near an arch you're going to see the carcass that will start the quest. Defeating Typhon took a whole 1 minute and 10 seconds from the moment we entered the arena to full completion. And there we go, all 10 bosses defeated. Now, of course, the time it takes to defeat them depends completely on your world tier, on your gear, on your playstyle, on your class setup. It is a huge variable, of course, but I think the experience earned when compared to other bosses, how you defeat them from each other, should approximately be the same than what you see here. Now let's have a look at the list when we sorted by experience earned. Now again, some of the bosses are kind of very close to each other, or you could argue that maybe Spine-Red should be in front of Split Tooth, but they were approximately the same. I just saw them in that order. But we can see that Sandshifter and Cold Claw are very much at the top there. Now, I don't know if it's common that they take pretty much the longest to beat, if it's just me or if it's for everybody else compared to your own performance, but it makes sense that the bosses that are more difficult or take you longer to beat would give you more experience. Now, let's have a look at the list when we sorted by the time it took us to defeat the bosses. In this case, we can see Typhon, for example, took only 1 minute and 10. Now, if we stay within the under 2 minute range, a Split Tooth probably gives the most experience with Typhon. So one could argue that running Typhon 4 times would give you more experience than running Sandshifter, for example, 1 time. Now, if we're looking at the list from a happy medium perspective, we're saying I want to have the best time spent per session. One could argue to look at the kind of middle grounds like, Big Jaw or Wendigo, and we can see straight away Big Jaw is the outlier here, where you could say, yeah, that's a good 225 spent. So you might even get fast at it, but then again, once you get fast at one, you might get fast at the others because your gear is getting better that drops. Just as I mentioned gear, you will find that your gear won't be strong enough at some point when you reach the next world tier. So when you reach the next world tier, if you have currently been maxed on your gear, you will probably find it still okay. I have been actually undergeared by 1 level throughout the whole recording of this, and it was fine, except for Horus. Horus was being an asshat, but I think that had more to do with the fact that I really haven't practiced Horus a lot at all. But anyway, so at some point you're gonna hit maybe the next tier, and then you go, okay, this is too hard now. So what I would definitely do is 2 things. I would lower the world tier to try to practice a boss and find the perfect strategy, because maybe it's not the gear, maybe it's just the way you approach it, and higher gear just compensated. But you can also always do the chest runs, for example, on max world tier, where you will probably get a lot of blue gear per run, but you can also end up, especially on the higher world tier, with more purples. Now, having said all that, for me this experience was actually quite useful, and I got a fair idea of the different type of bosses and combat scenarios we can get in, and I probably will focus on Big Jaw myself and rinse and repeat that guy, because that seems to be a happy medium. I'm okay with spending about 2.5 minutes on something, and it seems if I beat him twice I get as much experience as Cold Claw. Like, I might be misjudging it, but it looks like you would. Anyway, that's something I would probably focus on, and for me it was useful. I hope you got some useful information out of this as well, and again, take it with a grain of salt. For you the times could vary, absolutely, but in approximation the experience should be very similar to you, that you find that Cold Claw gives you the most and Typhon and Spine-Red probably the least. But let me know in the comments below how it works out for you. I mean, if it's completely different than what I got, let me also know in the comments. But either way, I hope you had fun. If you did, remember to kick that like button in the balls, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. And if you're new to the channel and you like what you see, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys next time. Until then, as always, viel Spaß and happy gaming.